Welcome to another episode of Disney Dust. DisneyDwayne here. And of course, we're going to be talking about, as you can see on the other side, Raya and the Last Dragon, Disney's first offering featuring Southeast Asian culture. Now, that is a big thing for me. I am of Southeast Asian descent living here in Singapore. And I'm sure if you are too, you should be proud. And if you're not, welcome to a discussion of all things Southeast Asian. Of course, at the end of the episode, I'm going to be putting in more trivia, so stay tuned for that. Things like, I'm just going to start off with some trivia. Adele Lim, writer from Crazy Rich Asians. Now, she is one of the writers of Raya and the Last Dragon, and she's from Malaysia, so she's on the writing team. We also have 400 of the people working from home because of COVID-19 working on this movie. So it's a huge thing. They're not in the office together. They're probably communicating over Zoom. Great effort, guys. This was a great effort. First off, this is not a musical, so you won't get a singing princess, but she is a princess. Southeast Asia finally has a princess joining the ranks of all the other princesses, and you will hopefully see her at Disneyland. She is a princess of the tribe of the Heart. So I'll explain the story in a little bit more. Not into spoiler territory yet, but at the end, I will warn you, there will be spoilers. Now, Awkwafina. Let's talk about Awkwafina. She plays the Last Dragon. She is so funny. I think sometimes she overdoes it. Like in Crazy Rich Asians, I found her to be a little bit over the top because the other characters were not as big. But here, I think it works very well for animation. Her deliveries are great. She even has ad libs. Nobody beats Robin Williams, but still very great, very enjoyable to watch. Her delivery is just wonderful. I laughed so hard. And she changes. Well, okay, this is a slight spoiler, but not a big spoiler. She changes into a human, right? She has a human form. And I would have to say this is the first Disney character that looks so close to the voice actor. She really looks like Awkwafina, and that's just so hilarious to me. She had ad-lib lines like, oh, cats or knives, or like cats with knives, or like knives with cats on them. So like, she's pretty funny. And let's get into some food. We have Southeast Asian food all over the movie. It is just wonderful to see because we love our food. They mentioned jackfruit, congee, which is a porridge. There's even soup that they make that kind of looks like tom yum with the lemongrass and all in it. And there's mango, and her little pet is called tuk tuk. In Thailand, there's this little truck, or rather little car or cart that you can ride to take you around the city, and it's called the tuk tuk. So it's very Southeast Asian. Even the music has instruments from Southeast Asia. I won't get into detail, but if you listen to the soundtrack, you will get that flavor of Southeast Asianness without the condescendingness of there's some movies that just overdo the Chinese instruments to the point that it's almost like, okay, we get it, we're in Asia, you don't have to bang it over our heads. So let's now talk about the 5 different tribes. So this story essentially is about a world that is whole, that gets broken up, and the point is to put these pieces back together to make the world whole again. So it's a pretty simple storyline, but it's done very well in the sense that it appeals to the modern teenager, and it's got good pace, and it's got good dialogue and good graphics. So all of that comes together very well, as well as good representation. So the world is broken into 5 parts. And so 5 is a very big number in this movie. The heart, the fang, the talon, the spine, and the tail. These are parts of a dragon that was once whole, and the lands were separate. The land was like, people split up into different groups of 5. Now we're going to get into who I think which part represents, or what I think which part represents in terms of country. Now, Southeast Asia, as you know, is made up of many countries, and I will name them here. Malaysia, we have Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, Singapore, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Brunei, and East Timor. So it can't all be represented, right? But I think, in my own opinion, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. The first place that we visit is the heart, which I believe to be a little bit more Malaysian. So Raya, the name itself is it's quite a Malay name, I would say. It means friend and or celebration. I believe Raya is mostly Malaysian. Of course, she writes a tuk tuk, that's from Thailand. So everything's a little bit mixed up. And the images are also a little bit, it's not the actual architecture. It's sort of like influenced by, but it's its own world, which is lovely. And then we have uh, Fang, which I believe is Indonesia mostly because of the rice terraces. Now, there's a portion in the story where they are served rice by Raya, who's from the Heart tribe, and she goes like, "Oh, this is something we haven't eaten in a while," and I wonder why, because when you visit Fang, you see that they have rice terraces. So I wonder what that backstory is. I think they never explored that too much, or maybe I didn't catch something. Let me know if you think you have an idea. And then we visit Talon, which really sounds like Thailand. So it is really a lot of Thailand because there are two clues there. First of all, it's a floating market tribe, and which is very popular in Thailand. And then we also have the lemongrass, which they use. Um, and then we move on to Spine, which at first I thought was Singapore because like SP and then it ends with an E, right? Spine. But the first thing the guy who was there talked about was the mango. So I think that's, well, either Thailand or the Philippines. And you can sort of look at the characters. I don't mean to be stereotypical in a sense, but I mean, if you stare at an Asian, um, and if you're Asian, and if you've been around Asia quite a lot of your time, I think you'd be able to tell like the races and how they look. So I feel like Spine looked more Filipino to me, and Thailand as well. They look more Thai, and Indonesia with Fang, and Malaysians with the Heart. I could be completely wrong, but that's just my opinion. So I don't mean any offense. Okay. Um, and then I wanted Tail to be Singapore, right? But then there are all these other countries. So I think Tail was that one nation that wasn't explored because it could have easily been Vietnam, Singapore, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Brunei, or East Timor. And which is why at the start of the movie, they actually didn't explore the land too much because everybody had been, taken by the plague. Now I'm going to get into spoiler territory, right? So let's just, that's your warning for you. Fights are based on Muay Thai from Thailand and Silat, and so it's great that they did that research into the choreography of the fights. Um, and as we go along, I think it was so powerful. I'm not sure if anybody noticed, but she is actually slowly in getting each piece of the gem that is broken, which is how the world kind of fell apart. In each piece, as she's gathering them from each tribe, she's also gathering a person from each place. So essentially, she has a person from Heart, which is herself, Tail, Talon, Spine, and then the last one, Fang, obviously was the hardest to convince and to win over because it was the tribe that they couldn't trust the most, and that is a big theme in this movie. It's about trust. Well, I'll get into that later. So here's a discrepancy that I want to talk about. Nothing too jarring, nothing too clumsy, I think, but it did bug me a little bit. See, so most of the survivors of the plague which was born out of human discord. Well, they're surrounded by water, which protects them, right? So I'm not sure why I would believe that Namari would leave the Fang tribe when the tribe's gem to ward them off is actually still in the tribe, because she leaves to hunt Raya down. So not very sure how that works there, because why would her mother send her off to her death, so-called. Um, so I was wondering if there was going to be a big teary moment for this movie, and there really was at the end. So this is where I'm going to tie it back to the part about trust that I was going to talk about. Trust is missing from the people, which would bring the dragons back. And at the very last part, we see that someone that they couldn't trust twice finally has to be trusted in order for things to work out, or rather that they take the step to trust that person. And I think that's such a great metaphor for life, because people are lost and people need to be given chances, and it's not always going to be right the first time. And you can see how where everything leads up to this one point where all of humanity just rests on this person, and she knows that. And when everybody trusts her, there is no choice but to be responsible. So I feel like that's such a great metaphor, because I feel that if we all believed in each other in this life, we can really do something great, and we can really win over and change people and do all these great things. So it's really such a deep and powerful metaphor, I feel. It just goes to show sometimes people just need a few chances and belief for them to change. And that's pretty much it. So, like I said, I was going to talk about some more trivia at the end of this. Well, they recently, actually, she was one of the last few people to be cast or recast. Kelly Marie Tran, who was our lead actress, was actually the last to be cast, and she replaced an actress named Cassie Steele, who was playing Raya. And the producers were saying that it was because they felt they needed a younger energy to Raya, because her character did change. And I can attest to it in some ways. I was at the D23 Expo and I saw a trailer of Raya and the Last Dragon with Cassie actually voicing it, an older sounding voice. She also, in the trailer, if I remember correctly, had a brother with her in the dungeon. So I think this whole brother part was cut out as well. And I believe he's cut out because she gathers people along the way. So we needed to feel she was alone. We needed to feel her grief. We needed to feel that she picked up one person from each place. And so each place was represented. Having the brother along would have, upset that balance. So those are my thoughts. Kelly, incidentally, is Vietnamese American, so she is of Southeast Asian descent. Well, what do you think of the movie? I know this was a pretty long review, and I thank you for sticking around, and I would really love to know your comments and thoughts, so leave them in the comment section below. I'm going to rate this movie a 8.7 out of 10. I really liked it, and I would watch it again. Anyway, thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe and check out our other videos. Till the next one, this is DisneyDwayne. Goodbye.